referring to North and the influence of the DNA as well. But if you look at the Maskeli Nuwara seat, then we know the influence. Like for example, if you take the CWC and Chandrasekharam's party and the state factor of the union leaders, all of them, they were campaigning for the UPFA. So it was not like, but still the majority of the vote, around 112,000 odd, went to Mr. Sarath Fonseca, and it did not come to His Excellency the President. He got only about 60,000. So if the leadership can influence people like that, then what is the reason as to why you think, what are your comments on it?
I think some of that leadership didn't deliver the goods to the people directly, or was not involved with the people. That is one reason, was not going around with the people, but they are just like some of our own politicians were living in Colombo, trying to do the work in the electorate, or they were like absentee landlords who are trying to contest the seat when all those people are there. But at the same time, we must understand that the estate people have suffered a lot. Their population is increasing. They need more areas to settle down, to alternate employment. So they are working in Colombo. A lot of them have come to various unskilled jobs in Colombo. Education has to improve a lot in the plantation areas. So it has now come finally, because of our system, the responsibility rests with the President, not with his ministers. Unfortunately, it is something like, I might say, people of America expects the President, or their constitution provides him to appoint the secretaries of state who are responsible for each of those portfolios, not the elected members. But our constitution wants us to appoint these so-called elected members to carry out the execution of the job. But the blame comes still to the President. So that has to stop in this second term. So that is where we will have to see how we can address that situation, where we can do it. If you ask me how it can be done within the present setup, then the party organizers will have to be changed, and the proper leaders who represent and who live with the villagers, who sympathize with the villagers, has to live. They can't live in Colombo and expect the village population, whether they are in the north or the east or the estate areas or the south, to carry out their work. The system has been geared, power has been concentrated in Colombo, such that whenever a man is elected from the most rural electorate, he immediately comes to Colombo, settles down in Colombo, sends his children to the Colombo schools. He takes a government vehicle and goes to the village once a month or once a week, and when the elections come, they walk around the village.
So basically you are saying that the village is alienated in the process.
Villagers were alienated in the process, and that alienation is more with the people in the estate areas. The frank reason for that is because their education is not to the level of the education in the down south. Down south, our people demand it. Our people demand for various, they have been trained, but those people have not demanded it. They wait for everything to be done by the so-called elected man to get a few rupees more from the companies which have been exploiting them for a long time, and the masters are decided they meet one another, the planters and the representatives in five-star hotels in Colombo, and they make decisions for these people. It was the time like the Marxists of Sri Lanka who were in the trade unions they made the decisions with the for the workers in Colombo in five-star hotels. I don't want to name the Marxist leaders of that time, but that was a fact of life. But the whole thing changed.
So other than the constitutional reforms, does this have a lesson to us about bringing up the rural sectors and developing the rural sectors as well?
Yeah, I think the one lesson the president, I hope, will do is give, even though theoretically that power is in the hands of the public service, like the district secretaries, the Pradeshia Lekam and all that type of people, when it comes to execution, the member, the Pradeshia member, the organizer all interfere in the process. So, with such a educated class of people and with more and more graduates appointed to the village level, this responsibility should totally rest with the public servant, and the member should be looking only at the policies, and the president's power to execute should be through his appointees rather than through so-called elected people. They have been elected to dictate policies and not for execution. That is where we are making the mistake. Because of our constitution, we get them to carry out the execution. If you are the Minister of Education, you do the transfer from here to there. Some rural schools doesn't have even a teacher. Now, I live close to a school called CWW Karnagara Mahavidyalaya Gaul, right? Now, that comes under the southern provincial government. Now, for instance, in that school, there are two or three computers, it seems, but no children to learn the computing. So, I don't know what the principal is doing. Same man is continuing for the last 5 years from the time of the tsunami. Now, I am sure there is a political hand from somewhere manipulating to keep the man, while all the children, 90% of the children go out of the school before they pass out of the year 10. They are very intelligent people. They can do fishing, they can do lots of things if they were guided properly. So, that political interference has to stop, and that can only be done by the president giving the powers directly to the public service and not to the ministers and the organizers in all these areas, because they didn't contribute at all, I might say, for the election of the president, because people voted for the man, for Mahinda Rajapaksa, for giving a strong leadership and expecting a strong leadership for the future.
So, if you look at the urban world now, and especially if let's look at the electorate under the Colombo Municipal Council, what are your comments?
If you look at the Colombo population, as you know, has a large percentage of various other ethnic groups other than the Sinhalese, but still the Sinhalese people, Colombo district as a whole has a big amount because of the other people. But if you look at Colombo municipal areas and even Deepamala, where I live, went to Sarath Fonseca, right? But as you come down on to the Sinhalese areas, mine has taken over. From Deepamala, you go to Ratmalana, that has turned out to be a for the president, where there is a larger percentage of these smaller groups. So, larger percentage of the Sinhalese people. So, what we can assume is the Sinhalese people in Colombo was evenly divided, sort of thing. But what happened in the villages didn't happen where the UNP people crossed over. So, there is an elite, or I might say people who are doing well, because to live in Colombo you have to do well. Your cost of your house or cost of something is too expensive. As well as even if you are a laborer in Colombo, you expect a better wage.